Greetings, brothers, and welcome to the Prepare to Prosper Garden 30 live stream. Going to do this every Wednesday at 6:30, and what we're doing here is we're getting a project done around the homestead and discussing something with you guys as I do it. Last week was the first one, and we talked about the what I mean by prosper, and that it's and all the forms of capital. Today we're working on two different projects. We had a curtain rod burn, and before I go off camping at the Boy Scout camp, I want to get the Thomas and the rest of the scouts for a week. I want to get that window curtain replaced. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And then also we got to get the quail feeder and water set up so it's not so big a deal. Like right now it's so hot, the 15 baby quail are drinking more than a quart of water a day, and since nobody's gonna be home but Daniel during the day, I don't want to make him responsible for having to deal with that. So the conversation topic of the day is Father's Day. Father's Day was last Sunday, so let's get this cut to length. So, if I remember correctly, I need 8 feet, so I need 2 4-foot sections. And the reason we're going 2 4-foot sections, I got to turn this piece got a kink in it. Should have grabbed a Sharpie. There's probably one in my tool bag right over there, but if you haven't seen one of these before, this is a tubing cutter for hard metal tubing. It's not normally what you'd use to cut EMT, but it makes a really nice smooth cut, and black pipe, anything like that, brake lines, and it doesn't make a lot of noise and racket and stuff like if I was a professional, I'd use a Portaband, but I'm not a professional. I don't have Portaband money. Now, if you're watching this and you'd like to like it and subscribe, especially subscribe, I can get to that 1,000 subscribers and everything, more watch hours. Do the share thing. You know all the YouTube algorithm stuff, and then maybe I can make some of that sweet YouTube money from live streams and whatnot. Anyway, so Father's Day was last Sunday, and I was thinking about maybe talking about Father's Day, but I wasn't sure what to talk about and stuff. And then Sunday at church, my preacher did mention a few things that I thought was a good idea and I'd want to talk about. And yes, I know the Doherty's repainted. Yeah, you can mention if you want, but the Doherty does need repainted behind me. I've noticed it. Anyway, so my channel is primarily geared towards people who want to be better fathers, better husbands, better followers of Christ, better leaders, and better priests for their family. So we should put God first in our lives. And then we should, our wife should be next, and then our children. Because if we have a good relationship with our wives, that will help us have a better relationship with our children and help be a good example for our children and others. So as a husband, it's my job. This is the reason the Bible created marriages and why the marriages are so important in the Bible, is because it's my job as husband, and I'm not doing a very good job tightening this as often as I should, but it's my job as the husband to treat Sarah the same way, to the best of my ability, that Christ teaches the church. And it's Sarah's job to to treat me the way the church is supposed to treat Christ. What I'm doing is I'm cutting a piece of EMT with a tubing cutter that I'm going pretty slow at. It's pretty dull and worn out to make curtain rods. And while I'm doing it, I'm discussing Father's Day and why it's important to be a father. Anyway, so my job is to show the world and the kids what it's like, what Christ's love for the church is, and it's Sarah's job to show the kids and the world what Christ, or what the church is supposed to treat the act towards Christ, if I can talk. And then we're supposed to work together as a team to raise up the kids. Proverbs says, train up your kids in the way they should go. Even when he is older, he will not depart from it. And hello to the people saying hello. That doesn't mean you should force your kids into being the same religion or going to the same church as you. You shouldn't force your kids to go to church. That's not what it's saying. That's saying you should teach your kids what it is to have good, strong biblical values. And more is caught than taught. You could lecture your kids all day and all night, but you're better off being a good example of what it is to be a Christian. And man, this tubing cutter sucks. I need to get a new one. I'm going to spend half this live stream cutting through this one pipe. Holy crap. Anyway, that's our job as parents or as fathers. I try to think about, like, we're not just raising the boys, we're also raising our grandkids' fathers. You know, and we care about our grandkids and our great-grandkids and our grandkids' all the way out 6-7 generations from now, and try to leave a legacy for them. And I don't just mean like money or anything like that. I mean, like a legacy of values and traditions. And somebody keeps asking if I like donuts. I don't really eat. I try to avoid carbs as much as I can. Me and Sarah both have been doing that. She is no longer taking any of her diabetic medicine, and she's lost like 20 pounds, and I've lost like 20 pounds too. So we're both doing a lot better just by avoiding carbs. And happy Father's Day to everybody saying happy Father's Day in the comments. So one of the things that's important, so it's most important to the caught not taught thing, but it's also really important to make sure we teach our kids what the Bible says. So a lot of people say, well, the Bible doesn't doesn't answer, like, it doesn't teach gravity. It doesn't teach why grass is green. Well, yeah, but because those aren't the questions gravity's trying to answer. Oh, thanks for wishing that we stay healthy. I hope you do as well. This channel's about preparedness and stuff like that. We can't do a good job of that if we're not prepared to, or if we 500 pounds. You'll talk about these preparedness people like, oh, I got my this and my that and my kit and I'm ready to go to war. It's like, dude, you can't go to war. You can't even walk to the end of or past the refrigerator. Anyway, so as we teach our kids through example, it's also a good idea to learn apologetics ourselves, which is being able to answer the arguments that people have against God. School or college, and somebody says it's not real because of X, and God doesn't exist because of X, they'll know the answer. They won't necessarily have to argue with that person, but they'll know the answer. A lot of people are deconstructing Christianity and leaving Christianity because it doesn't match the science or it doesn't match logically, and it does. They just don't know how it does. And man, I need to get a new tubing cutter. I want to invest in a Portaband. Well, there is like 300 religions, and it's not that if you choose the wrong one, you'll go to hell. That's not how it works. That's not what the Bible says at all. You've been lied to. What the Bible says is God will judge you based on your knowledge of Him. So if you know nothing about Him and you worship and you lived 10,000 years ago and you've never heard of Him, God will judge you based on that. Or if you live in some tribe in Africa or South America that's had no contact, He'll judge you based on that. But if you live in the Western world and you know a lot and you hear, and then God will judge you based on those things. And it's not that if you don't choose God, He'll send you to hell. It's if you don't choose God, He'll honor your wishes and allow you to go to hell. Because if you know God exists and you choose to reject Him, He'll allow you to keep rejecting Him. But if you acknowledge and try to follow Him, then He'll, and try to grow closer and closer to God for your entire life, He'll honor that too and allow you to spend the rest of eternity getting closer and closer to Him. Alright, this tubing cutter sucks. I've on this for a while. I got other projects that need to be done. So, Sharpie. My Sharpie's not in my tool bag. Oh, nice. Here it is. Like I said, that's not what the Bible's trying. That's not the job of the Bible. That's not the question it's trying to answer. The Bible shows that God created everything, but it doesn't give a detailed scientific explanation. You got to remember, the Bible was written so that everybody can understand it and learn from it. People today with PhDs in science, or people 10,000 years ago. But, all right, so got to build the quail feeder. We got these feeders off Amazon 3D printed, and they just go inside the bucket, like they go inside the bucket this direction, because quail are real messy eaters, so they can stick their beak in here and eat, and when they move their head around and make a mess, the mess stays inside the bucket so they don't waste food, because quail will waste half their food. What you need to do is grab the tape measure, and I don't know how you can see it, but there's like a raised spot in the middle of the bucket. So we got to make sure we give room for the birds. That's 12 inches high. So we'll come down like 11 inches to put the bottom of this guy. And my Sharpie falls apart. So that level. First I didn't think I had a Sharpie, now I got a busted Sharpie. Super glue this thing back together later. Alright. I think we should go with 11.5. It's 12 inches deep. 11.5 I think will work. We'll draw the line there at the bottom. Then we'll put this guy on. Try to get it as centered as we can. that'll give us, it doesn't show up well, I don't know if you guys can see that at all, but we traced it around. Black, wish I had a silver Sharpie. Alright. Lost my notes. Alright. Alright, so we're just going to drill a little hole in here. Ideally, I would use a hole saw the right size, but I don't seem to own any hole saws. I don't own any spade bits the size for this job either. I need to be investing in. Now we want to go in just inside the line because we want this lip on here to catch. Alright, and right into the edge with the saw and the cooler, so I really hacked that up pretty bad. But now that sucks. But so there's gaps around it and stuff, but I think that'll work. I'll caulk it in off camera and that'll be done. So next thing I'm going to do here is get the step bits out. If you've never seen one of these, they let you drill a whole bunch of different holes. This one does between 1/4 and 3/4, and it's really good for drilling through plastics and stuff like that. Let me grab the water. I left it in the car. So these are the waters we're putting in there. So with these waters, we want to get them as close to the bottom as we can. And we're going to use 1.5 inch styrofoam on the bottom of these, inside the quail tractors. If you don't know what a quail tractor is, it's a little movable cage thing you use for birds. They're also popular with chickens. So the white one in back, that's our new quail tractor. It's already got a 5-bucket water feeder in it. The one in front, which you can't see very well, is the old one made out of PVC pipe and stuff, and it needs replaced. But since I'm going to be gone for a week, we need to get the food and water in it first. Alright, anyway, we're going to put 1.5 inch styrofoam. These boards are 1.5 inches thick. And then, so we want them as low as we can and still be useful. We don't want, so the lower we get them, the more water is available. And I think right along this line that's already in there will be good for us. And we're going to use the step bit because, like I said, it's really good for drilling through thin stuff, sheet metal, and like thin plastic like this. And I I didn't tighten the chuck. That's an amateur move. And in case you're wondering, Hyper Tough buckets, I really like them for stuff like this because they're the cheapest square buckets you can buy, and they're pretty sturdy. And what I'm doing right now is the bit leaves a little bit of a burr, so I was going on the inside and removing most of that burr. You can just use a knife, trim out the rest. And let's see if we got the right size hole. If we need to step up one more. This is definitely something you want to go slow with, because you can't, you can always make the hole bigger. It's a lot harder to cut the hole smaller, and since it needs to be waterproof, I should have brought a trash can out with me or a tarp to lay underneath me to catch all the plastic, but yeah, this is fit perfect. It's really hard to get in there, which is what we want. And then I'll add a little dab of caulk on the inside later. That'll really waterproof these. So the way these work, if you've never seen them, is they set like this. The bird comes up, and when they go in here to get the water, these guys drip water out. Now, notice that the quail we have now don't tend to drink all the water. They tend to drink the water out of here and just tap it and drink the water as they come out. I'm going to check to see if they'll use the regular chicken nipples, but we know these work, and we know these will get them water now. We'll check the chicken nipples later, and if they'll drink out of those, which are just little red things with metal springs on them, that'll work better, because they're in the winter. The mechanism is inside the bucket, so they won't freeze when we drop the electric heater in there. Man, these flies are terrible. When it's all hot and you're miserable because it's hot, flies bother you more, it seems like. Alright, so part of the channel and everything is about, like I said at the beginning, us becoming better fathers, husbands, leaders, family priests, all that stuff. So what I did is I made a list of character traits that I think are important for me to have, and me to instill in the kids, and to encourage other people to have. So and work on those. I'm not very good at all these yet, but I made the list, and I used the Bible, I used Boy Scout, the 12 points of the Scout Law, and I went to other sources that have good list of morals, and basically took what I liked about them, or I took all of them, made them into a list. Any of them that sounded similar, I combined, and then I kept narrowing it down until I got down to just these 12. And they're reverence, perseverance, and I need to persevere at saying that word. Introspective, loyal, curious, joyful, frugal, humble, meek, and by meek I don't mean weak, I mean meek like Jesus was meek. Having lots of power and ability to do things, but keeping that power and strength under control. Diligence, patience, and bravery. So, reverence, pretty easy. You should be reverent towards God, but you should also be reverent towards other things you should be reverent towards. And I don't mean like worshiping them, but your wife should be important to you. Your family should be important to you. You should put those things before hanging out with your friends or watching football and video games. Perseverance. When things are hard, you gotta keep doing them. if they're important to you. Like if something's hard and it doesn't do you any good and it won't add anything to your life or any other people's lives, then I guess you can quit doing that. But persevere. It's like trying to cut this stupid. I'll probably end up cutting this tomorrow with the hacksaw, and looking at buying a new tubing cutter. Anyway, introspective, looking at what you're bad at and what your flaws are and getting better at it. So like me and Sarah noticed that we didn't eat the healthiest, so we started removing things one at a time. So remove processed sugar, remove a lot of grains, remove potatoes and stuff like that, and that's how we've slowly gotten healthier. Remove cereals and a lot of other things like that. I wish I could control the brightness on YouTube live stuff. Anyway, loyal. Alright, I don't know what happened to the connection there. The Wi-Fi router's only a few feet behind me. Anyway, loyal is being loyal to people you should be loyal to. Your friends, your family, things like that. And I don't mean being loyal to a fault and being used and stepped on. And I also don't mean you should be loyal to somebody, or being loyal to somebody doesn't mean you let them do things that are destructive to themselves or destructive to others. You say, hey man, I notice you, go out every weekend, and you go to the bar every weekend, but you don't, you should probably spend that time with your family. That's much better. A much better way to be a loyal friend than just to let your buddy do something that you know is wrong and know that hurts him and those around him. Curious. We should always be trying to learn something new. Like today I learned that this tubing cutter sucks. It's really old. I got it used at a yard sale, and I've only ever cut brake lines with it, so I didn't realize how bad it sucked. Anyway, so if I ever get this cut, we're going to cut 2 4-foot long pieces. Put one of these couplers between them. Spray paint, or sand it all down, spray paint that black. And then spray paint these brackets black. And then these brackets through to the wall. And then the curtain rod, which is just EMT, extruded metal tubing conduit, will get bolted to this. This may not work for your curtain rods, but we're trying to go with like black pipe retro kind of thing. These should be done in hammered. I don't have any black hammered, so I'm going to use the black Ultramat that I have, and then we'll tear and do them in hammered later. This will get the problem solved. Anyway, let's get through the rest of these. Joyful. So joyful doesn't mean being happy all the time. Happy all the time and never sad. They're probably either on drugs or they should see somebody and get some drugs, because that's not normal. What being joyful means is even during hard times you realize that that there's hope and good things are going to come again. And like Paul was shipwrecked, he didn't despair. He knew he would eventually get rescued and relied on God to know that things were going to get better. Elijah in the Bible, he got pretty depressed, and there's nothing wrong with being depressed, but it shouldn't be a permanent state. If it is, you should work on that, and if you need professional help, you should get professional help. And if you are depressed, talk to a friend, talk to family, talk to the suicide prevention hotline. Don't take a temporary problem and make it permanent. All right, frugal. Don't waste money. That doesn't mean don't spend money. That doesn't mean live a horrible lifestyle. That doesn't mean be cheap. That means, like, if you're going to buy a garden hose, buy the best you can afford instead of buying a garden hose every year. there's a phrase, buy once, cry once. So buy something expensive, you cry when you buy it because it's expensive. The other option is to buy it over and over again and cry every time it breaks and you got to go buy it again. Humble. That's know your limitations, know your faults, and try to get better at it. Don't think you're the best at everything, because you're not. And you gives you a chance to learn from others if you're humble, and learn from God. Meek, we already addressed it. That's under control. But if you don't have strength, if you're not strong enough to do anything, you're not powerful, or you're not meek. A guy in the hospital or in a coma is not meek. He's not peaceful. He's just a dude laying there. You got to be strong, capable, and able to do things before you can be actually meek. Otherwise, you're just weak. Diligence. So diligence is doing things like, it's different than perseverance. Diligence is coming up with like your chore chart to make your family better and doing your chores that you want to do first. Putting money aside for emergency funds and to buy bigger things for your homestead and your family, those kind of things. That takes diligence. Patience. Don't always be in a hurry. Now, I don't mean be lazy and not do anything, but I also mean don't rush around, stress yourself out trying to do multiple things at once and try to get too many things done in one day. Nicole Sauce at the Living Free in Tennessee podcast, she's really big on her My Three Things. You should check that out. And another thing with patience is being patient with people around you, with your children and other people as they learn and grow. And be patient with yourself as you grow and learn to do new things. Like, I'm trying to learn to pray more, and I don't always pray when I want, as often as I want to, but I'm being patient and instead of getting upset with myself when I forget to pray. And then bravery. So that doesn't mean going off to war necessarily and fighting the enemy. That means standing up for what's right when it's time to stand up for what's right. That means doing things that are hard. If you're addicted to something, giving up that addiction's hard. If you have to admit to somebody that you were wrong, that's difficult to do and takes a lot of bravery. Bravery doesn't mean jumping out of airplanes. Telling your wife you're sorry a lot of times takes just as much bravery. So that's it for what I have for Father's Day. Remember, me and Sarah have only been married for 2 years. Really only been a father for that long. So I'm getting better at this. So I hope you have a happy Father's Day. I hope you put God first, then your wife, and then your kids, and show your kids, you and your wife are the example, and show your kids what it's like to have a good relationship and what it's like to have a meaningful relationship with God. And then learn apologetics and teach your kids apologetics so they know the answer, so they know what the Bible teaches and why it teaches. Like all these people that are just like, hey, this is what God said, or this is what this, like the one guy in the comments, he said if you choose the wrong, the Bible says if you choose the wrong religion, well, the Bible doesn't say that. He doesn't like Christianity, but he doesn't know what Christianity is. And oftentimes we don't know what the Bible says ourselves, and we just go with pop culture or what our church says it is instead of actually knowing what the Bible says. But also, if you don't teach your kids, it's really easy for them to fall victim to what the world says Christianity is instead of actually knowing themselves. And then don't force your kids, just be an example and teach them. And remember, the Bible doesn't answer like physics questions. It doesn't answer like why does the earth orbit the sun, like the physics of it, but it answers the question, why did God make the earth and why did God make the sun and arrange the universe in the way he did. And then the also those 12 things. I'm calling it the mailing list code video, probably sometime tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and remember, we prepare today and prosper tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow I'll have this pipe cut. It didn't end the video. There we go. Now we're ending.